How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Lamed Vav, Daf 36 of Masechta Kiddushin, friends. Yo, friends. Today we're going to talk about Wellwood bald spots. Wellwood bald spots. That if somebody goes to Wellwood, you don't make bald spots. Alright. But women can, apparently. Women can make the Wellwood bald spots, but not the men. Right? Women are tourists from Wellwood bald spots. Alright. Okay, fine. Alright. Let's learn about the Wellwood bald spot. Lamed Hey Omid Beis, the second wide line of the page, the second word of the second wide line of Daf Lamed Hey Omid Beis. Wait, I gotta rub my eye. Man, don't give me a hard time. Alright. Isi Tani Af Ba'yikachu Noshim Peturis. Oh, so Isi says that when the pasuk says Ba'yikachu, right? That the pasuk says, what does the pasuk say? So Ba'yikachu Adam, maybe it's talking about, like it says by the Kohanim, L'sakifu pas roshim v'losas. No, not that. L'yikachu korcha b'roshim u'faz that. L'yikachu korcha b'roshim, that they shouldn't make bald spots. And we're going to learn out, right? And by the people. So now on this daf, so there's the Kohanim, the priests, and then there's the non-Kohanim, i.e. the people. Okay, so the people are the non-Kohanim. And it says by the people, don't make a bald spot between your eyes when somebody goes to Wellwood. So fine. So Isi Tani Af Ba'yikachu Noshim Peturis. So Isi says that the prohibition against making a bald spot when somebody goes to Wellwood, so women are Peturis from that lav. My time, the Isi. Now, how come Isi says this? And that's going to be the discussion of our daf for the next chunk. How come Noshim are Peturis from Wellwood bald spots? So, my time at the Isi, how come? So first the Gemara wants to say the Darshachi. Well, he darshans the following: Bonim atem l'Hashem leikechem. You are boys to Hashem, your God. Lo disgodu, don't make gashes on yourself, like cut yourselves. Don't make bald spots between your eyes. Lemeis, for when people pass away. Ki am kadosh ata l'Hashem leikecha, because you are a holy nation to the Eibishter, your God. So now there are two things in this pasuk. First, it says, "Bonim atem Hashem lekechem." You are boys to Hashem your God, not girls to Hashem your God. But then it says, "Ki am kadosh atem Hashem lekecha," because you're a nation. Now the nation is boys and girls; it's everybody. So now, where are we? So bonim velo bonis lekorcha. So we're saying that when it says boys to the exclusion of girls, that is by Wellwood bald spots. So only the boys have a lav in Isser against making Wellwood bald spots, but Noshim are Peturis. Atahom the Korcha. Wait 1 second. In fact, the Gemara. How do you know that that's referring to Korcha? Maybe it's talking about the gashes. Maybe only the men are not allowed to make gashes on themselves, but the women can. So when it says that you are a holy nation to Hashem your God, and that refers to men and women, that is talking about gashes. When we say boys and not girls, the karcha, that is for the Wellwood bald spots. Alright, so the boys cannot make Wellwood bald spots, the girls are Peturis. How come we're saying that Gedida applies to men and women, but the Wellwood bald spot applies only to men, but women are Peturis? The reason is because I will say that gashes applies to men and women, because it's more broad. It's a more broadly applicable thing, right? You can make a gash anywhere. A place with hair, a place without hair, a fleshy place, a hairy place, any kind of place you can gash. But a bald spot, you can only make a bald spot in a place where there's hair. And therefore it's sort of a less broad thing, so therefore it also is applied less broadly, i.e. to men and not to women. Okay, so gashing is an isser for men and women, whereas bald spotting is a isser for men. Women are pturis. Maybe I'll say that actually both the bald spots and the gashes apply only to boys, not to girls. And when we say Kiam Kadosh, and that applies to the boys and the girls, Besrita is talking about scratching. Isi holds that scratching and gashing are basically the same idea, and therefore there's no distinction. And Bonim Atem, to the exclusion of Bonos, is by the wellwood bald spot, whereas Kiam Kadosh Ata Hashem Elokecha, did I read that right? Yes, that's inclusive, boys and girls. That applies to gashing and also scratching. Very, very beautiful Gemara. So Omar Abai, now says Abai, Hainu time of the EC. Now Abai gives a different explanation of EC. How come he says that Noshim are Peturis from wellwood bald spots? So Abai Omar, Hainu time of the EC, this is the reason for EC. The Gomar, Korcha Korcha Mipnei Aharon, because we have a Gzeir Shavet, right? It says by the people. It says Lo Tasimu Korcha Benenechem Lames, and it says by the Kehanim Lo Yikechu Korcha Baroshim. So it says Korcha by both. So Malahol Noshim Peturis, Afkan Noshim Peturis. So just like by the Kehanim Noshim are Peturis from the wellwood bald spot, so Oichet by the people Noshim are Peturis from wellwood bald spots. Now 1 second. If we're saying, so if the assumption here, the understanding here, is that all of these halachas by Kehanim, right? L'nefesh lo yitama ba'amov, lo yikechu korcha b'roshim, v'faz l'konim lo yigalechu, v'sarim lo yisu tusaretis, all those things, if they only apply to the Kohanim, not to the Kohanot, so then nishtok kramine, then I don't need the Gzeir Shavet. It's like we had the same idea the same argument yesterday. We don't need the Gzeir Shavet. V'teisi b'kav v'chomer, I can just learn it out logically. I'll say, that if when it comes to priests, where generally priests have a lot more mitzvahs, and yet it's only the Bnei Aharon, it's not the V'lo Bnos Aharon, Yisrael, Lo Kol Shekain, the people who have less mitzvahs to begin with, certainly it would only apply to the men and not to women. Would it make sense that by Kohanim, where generally we have more mitzvahs, it only applies to the Kohanim, not to the Kohanot, and yet when it comes to the people, it would Lo Sasimu Karcha B'neinechem Lameis would apply both to the men and to the women, but by the Kohanim only to the men. That wouldn't make sense, and therefore I can learn out from Kav Chomer that if by the Kohanim the women are Peturis, so then certainly by the people women are Peturis. So Abai says Meh Ilav Gzeir Shaveh. I need the Gzeir Shaveh because it's Dafka the Gzeir Shaveh of Korcha Korcha that teaches, that Gzeir Shaveh that teaches that Noshim are Peturis from the wellwood bald spot by Kehanim. Meaning, because we have this Gzeir Shaveh of Korcha Korcha, what are we learning from the Gzeir Shaveh? What we're learning is that just like the Noshim are Peturis by Kehanim, they're also Peturis by the people. And if not for the Gzeir Shaveh, I would have said that there's a hefsek, right? That because when it says Emor LaKohanim B'nei Aharon, that's in the first pasuk, but it gets to these other inyanim a few pasukim later. I would have thought that there was an interruption, and already that would apply to the women as well. Therefore, we have this Gzeir Shaveh, and what are we learning off from the Gzeir Shaveh? That actually it only applies to the men and it doesn't apply to women, and that would be the same halacha by the people as well. But Hashanami name Ifsikoinin, just like we asked yesterday. But still, the Gemara themselves says meh. Everybody's mehing each other, right? The Gemara says something, Abai says meh. Abai gives his own explanation, the Gemara says meh. Meh, 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 meh. So Hashtanami name Ivsikinin. Why don't we say the Zelbazachdu? Why don't we say the same thing over here? That you know what that there is take. I don't know why I said the same thing. The same thing what? But anyways, why don't we say that there is a hefsek? And that it only applies to the wellwood bald spot applies both to men and to women. The imishum Gzeir Shaveh, and if you're saying but then what are we going to learn from the Gzeir Shaveh? Don't worry. Mi baile, we need the Gzeir Shaveh of Korcha Korcha Lichdetanya for the following brayso lo yikechu that when it says by the Kohanim, they shouldn't make wellwood, by the Kohanim it doesn't say anything about wellwood. By the people, it says wellwood, okay? So by the Kohanim it just says, right, it says, Lo yikachu korcha b'rosham. They shouldn't make bald spots on their head. Yochel afilu kerach arba v'chomish krachos. I don't know how to read these words. Lo yehei chayv el achas. Is it possible that even if you made 4 or 5 bald spots, you'd only be chayv for 1 bald spot? So Tamilomar korcha, therefore it says lo yikruchu korcha l'chayv kol achas v'achas. You can be chayv for every single bald spot. Berosham matam lo. Malcolm has to say on their head. The fishin emelos is go to do. Well, because since by the people it says, do not gash yourselves and do not make a bald spot between your eyes when somebody goes to wellwood. So so maybe I would think that the problem with the bald spots is only between the eyes. How do I know all of the head? Therefore it says on their heads, to say that you're chayiv on the entire head, just like between the eyes. So now all I know is these halachis by Kohanim, that you're chayiv 5 times, that it's the whole head. By Kohanim, they already have lots of mitzvahs yisrael. How do I know that this would apply even to the people? Because of karcha, because of the gezerah shava, it says karcha by Kohanim and it says karcha by the people. Makan chayiv al kol korcha v'korcha v'chayiv al rosh kibeno enayim. Just like the Kohanim are going to be chayiv for every single bald spot, and also going to be chayiv on the entire head, like between the eyes. Af lahalon, so oichet dartin, also by the people, chayiv al kol korcha v'korcha. They're going to be chayiv for every single bald spot. V'chayiv al rosh kibeno enayim, and they're also chayiv for the entire head, just like between the eyes. Malahalon al meis. Just like by the people, it specifically mentions wellwood. So Afkan al-Mei. So also by the Kohanim, they were talking about wellwood bald spots, not just regular bald spots. Imkei nichtov kra. So Abaye, meh. Abaye, maybe we can say that there is a hefsek. And the bald spot for the Kohanim applies both to the men and to the women. And the Gzerah Shava will use for to teach that it's talking about, the whole head, and that you chayiv a bunch of times, and that it's wellwood, and to learn out between the people and the Kohanim. So, and for Abaye replies, Nichtov kra, imke nichtov kra, kerach mai korcha shmamino tarte. Well, it could have just said, I don't know, kerach or something. I don't know how to read that word. Why does it say korcha shmamino tarte? Is saying that we're not just learning out the halachos, we're also learning out that it only applies to the Kohanim and not to the Kohanot. Rava Amar, Rava gives his own explanation. Hainu time the EC. This is pshat mit EC. This is why EC says that noshim are pturis from wellwood bald spots. The yalev bein einechem mi tefillin, because we learn out bein einechem from tefillin. Malohala noshim pturis, just like by tefillin, right? Noshim are pturis. So afkan. So oichidu also by what are we talking about? Wellwood bald spots, noshim pturis, right? It says beineinechem, right? It says by the bald spots lo yikuchu karcha beineinechem lameis, and it says vayilu totavos beineinechem by tefillin. So just like by tefillin noshim are pturis, so oichid by the wellwood bald spots noshim are pturis. All right. Rav my time Abaye. How come Rava doesn't learn like Abaye to learn the Gzerah Shava of korcha? So kerach korcha lo mashma le. Well, Abaye had this whole limud. Well, it could have just said korcha kerach, but it says korcha. So, but Rava doesn't hold of that whole limud. So therefore, he can't hold like Abaye. Abaye my time Rava. How come Abaye doesn't hold like Rava about the beineinechem? So Amar Lach. So because. So Abaye will respond to you, Tefillin gufayu me'acha gamila, because we need that to learn about an important halacha by tefillin themselves, which is malahalin makom she'osin karcha begova sharosh avkam makom hanacha begova rosh. Just like by the wellwood bald spots, it's talking about not just directly between the eyes, but higher up, where there's hair, higher up, right, between the eyes, but on the head where there's hair. So also by the tefillin. It's not, you don't put the tefillin between your eyes, you put the tefillin right by your, above your forehead, by your hairline. That's what we Rava says. Abaye would say that we need the Gzeir Shava for that, and not to teach that the women are pturis from with bald spots. All right, fine. Uvein la'Abaye, uvein la'Rava. I bonim atem my darshibei. Oh, so now, what do they do with the pasuk of bonim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem? Right. The first explanation of Isi, who says that Noshim are pturis from the with bald spots. So the first explanation was because it says bonim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem v'lo bonis, and we said that was talking about the with bald spots. Now, Abaye and Rava learn out from different Gzeir Shavas. So, what do they do with bonim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem? So, v'in Abaye v'in Rava, hai bonim atem my darshibei. What do they do with bonim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem? Hai mi ba'ilich detani. They need it for the following. Brisa, bonim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem. You are banim, you are children to the Eibishter your God. Bisman she'atem nehagim min banim, atem kriyim banim. If you're acting like children, in a good way, if you're acting like the children of the Eibishter, so then you're going to be called the children of the Eibishter. But ein atem nehagim min banim. But if you're not going to act like you're the children of the Eibishter, ein atem kriyim banim, you're not going to be called the children of, you're going to be estranged. You're not going to be called the children of the Eibishter. Div Reb Yehuda, that's Reb Yehuda's opinion. Reb Meir Omer says, Reb Meir, look, ben kach uven kach atem kriyim banim. Reb Meir says, look, no matter what, you're still going to be children of the Eibishter. Shneimar, as the Bible says, banim scholim hema. It says they are these children who are like, shtikol nudniks. So, but still, it's called banim scholim. V'omer banim lo emun bam. Right, it says these children who have no belief. So bonim oichidarin, ve'omer zer mireim, bonim ashchisim. It says these nudniks, but he still calls them bonim. Ve'omer, and it says v'ayibim kom asher yomer loim loy ami atem yomer loim bnei kelchoi. It'll be instead of saying you're not my nation, we'll say you're the sons of the living God. Maiva Omer, what are all these like in this pasuk, in that pasuk, in the next pasuk? V'chitem, if you're going to say Sochliu demikrei bane, kilesbu em nusayu lo mikru bane. Well, maybe you'll say that if they're being shtikul nudnik, so okay, they're still called children, the children of the Eibishter. But if they don't have any emuna, I think that's what it means, emuna, belief. I don't know, they're not believing in God. God can't trust in them. Lo mikru banim, so then they won't be called children. But Tashma v'omer banim lo emun bam. No, it says that they're banim even if lo emun bam. V'chitem kelesbu em nusa hu demikru banim ki palchul avedis kechavim lo mikru banim. But maybe you'll say, okay, fine. So even if they don't have this emuna, so then okay, they're still called banim. But if they're bowing down to the getchkis, forget it. Tashma v'omer zerem reim banim ashchisim. It says bonim ashchisim, and it says pentashchis vasisim pesels, the pasuk that it comes from. That it's a reference to Avodah Zarah, and still they're called bonim. V'chitema bonim ashchisim hu demikre bonim bnei demikru. But maybe you'll say, okay, they're called bonim ashchisim, but bnei ma'al yilo mikru, but they're never again going to be called proper children of the Eibishter. Tashma. In place of when you were nudniks and the Eibishter says, you're not my nation, I have nothing to do with you, it'll be said about them that you are the sons of the living God. How beautiful. What does Rashi say? Okay. If you do tshuva, when's this daf going to be? This is what daf? Is this a Rosh Hashanah daf or the next daf? Whatever it is, this daf is during the Seres of tshuva, friends. So as long as we do tshuva, so if we do tshuva now, so then we could be called the sons of the living God. So let's do tshuva. How about that? Let's do tshuva. Why not? Let's just do it. We'll learn, and it'll be great. All right. What do you think about that? It's a very nice Gemara, very appropriate. Learn this Gemara during the Seres Mitzvah. Shtikol Soyrus. Shtikol Chizik. Very, very nice. All right, friends. Now we get to another Mishnah that talks about different mitzvahs that are done by the boys and are not done by the girls. Hasmichus, leaning on korbanis, ve'atnufis, and waving korbanis. Okay, ve'agoshes, and bringing the korban to the mizbeach, ve'akmitzos, and scooping up the flour with your hands, ve'aktaros, and burning on the mizbeach, ve'amlikos, and killing the birds with your fingernail, ve'akabolos, and receiving the blood, ve'azos, and sprinkling the blood. Nohagim banoshim lo-banoshim is by the men and not by the women. Chutz mincha sota v'nizira, except for the mincha of a sota and a nazira, the breads that the nazira brings. Shehein menifos, that they wave those korbanos. Says the Gemara, smichos dichsiv. How do we know that smicha is a mitzvah for the men and not the women? Dabro b'nei Yisrael v'samach b'nei Yisrael somchim v'ein b'nos Yisrael somchos. That says Dabro b'nei Yisrael, and they do smicha dafka the b'nei Yisrael, not the b'nos Yisrael. Tnufis, the waving of the korbanos. Dichsiv Dabro b'nei Yisrael v'heinif b'nei Yisrael manifim v'ein b'nos Yisrael manifos. Okay, it says b'nei Yisrael by tenufos, so it's the b'nei Yisrael, it's not the b'nos Yisrael. Hagoshus, bring the korbanos to the mizbeach. Dichsiv v'zos taras hamincha hakriv also b'nei Aharon. Right, this is the Torah of the mincha, and the b'nei Aharon do the akrava b'nei Aharon v'lo b'nos Aharon. Kmitzis, scooping up the mincha. Dichsiv ve'avia el b'nei Aharon v'komatz b'nei Aharon v'lo b'nos Aharon. It says that the b'nei Aharon do the kmitzah, not the b'nos Aharon. Haktaros, burning on the mizbeach. Dichsiv v'ktiru also b'nei Aharon v'lo b'nos Aharon. It says the b'nei Aharon do the haktar. V'amalikos dichsiv umalak v'hiktir. Also malika, killing the bird with your fingernail. So it says umalak v'hiktir. It compares iskish malika l'aktar. We juxtapose killing with the fingernail to the burning on the mizbeach, and just like the burning on mizbeach is with b'nei Aharon. So oichet, the malika is the b'nei Aharon. Hakabolos, receiving the blood. Tichsiv v'krivu b'nei Aharon, that the b'nei Aharon are makriv v'amar mar. We said v'krivu zo kabbalas adam, that it's reference to kabbalas adam. So the b'nei Aharon are doing the kabbalas adam, not the b'nos Aharon. V'azos, and sprinkling the blood on the mizbeach. Azah dehecha, which sprinkling of the blood are we learning from? Or are we talking about? If we're talking about sprinkling the blood of the parah adum, Elazar kasuba, that needs to be done by Elazar HaKohen. If we're talking about if you have like a par helam davar shel tzibur or a par kohen HaMashiach, so a kohen HaMashiach kasuba. It says who does the zrikas adam. It's the kohen HaMashiach. It's the kohen gadol. Ela azah the ben of. Rather, what we're talking about is the azah of a bird. That needs to be done by bnei Aharon, not by bnos Aharon. The asir b'kavachomer mi ben son, because it's learned from kavachomer from sheep. Uma ben son shelo kavalo kohen l'shochato l'shchitaso. If when it comes to a sheep, if you bring a sheep as a korban, so a kohen does not need to do the shchita. Shchita is kasher bizarre, right? Just right, any of the people can do the shchita. So kavalo kohen lazah also, but yet a kohen does need to do the hazah. So ben ov shekavalo kohen l'mlikaso. Well, a bird that you need a kohen to do malika and not a kohenes, and it didn't shake balo kohen lazah also, then certainly you would also have to need a kohen for the hazah and not a kohenes. Chutz mimincha sota unizira. We said that by the tnufa, by the waving. So the women don't do the tnufa, but except for the mincha of a sota and a nazira. Amalei Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yoshia Didari. Rabbi Elazar said to Rabbi Yoshia of his generation, Lo teisev akarich ad de omart li lihosh maitzah. Don't sit down until you tell me the following halacha. Minayin lemincha sota sheteuna tnufa. How do I know that the korban mincha of a sota needs to be waved? Minolim bugufa ksiv. It says in the pasuk ve'enif esa mincha that there's tnufa by the mincha of the sota. How do we know that she needs to do the waving? I say yad yad mishlam, because we're learning Gzeir Shav of yad yad from shlam. It says over here by the sota v'lokach hakohen miyad o isha. And it says by the shlamim yodov tivieno makan kohen aflalon kohen. So just like over here by the sota, it says v'lokach hakohen. So also by the shlamim it's a kohen. Malaholim bailim, and just like by the shlam, it's the owners, the people bringing the shlam, offering the shlam. Avkan bailim here also by the sota, it's the owner, the one bringing the mincha. How could it be the kohen and the owner? So kohen machnis yodo tachas yad bailim. The kohen puts his hand beneath the hand of the owner, umenif, and then they wave together. Askechan sota Nizir Minolim. So we see that Sota does Tenufa. How do I know also Nizir? Asya Kaf Kaf Misota is Gzeir Shava of Kaf Kaf. It says Kaf by Sota, it says Kaf by Nizir. Friends, that was Daf Lamed Vav of Masechta Kiddushin. We talked about wellwood bald spots, and then we talked about other kind of avodas in the Beis Hamikdash kind of things that are done by the Kohanim and not the Kohanot. Friends, that was Daf Lamed Vav of Masechta Kiddushin. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.